What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of MUT Tips. I'm your host, Sean Taylor from the Made Up Theater. And before we jump in, make sure to like the video down below, comment with something you would like addressed in a future video, and as always, subscribe on YouTube down below to be informed of upcoming videos and live streams. Ring that bell. But let's jump into today's topic, using the suggestion revisited. I talked about using the suggestion in episode 37 of MUT Tips right there, which you can check out in the description down below. But using the suggestion can be tricky sometimes because we sometimes as improvisers feel like we need to take it too literally. Where, hey, if the suggestion is beach, we need to do a scene at a beach. Otherwise, it looks like we're not truly improvising because we're not truly using the suggestion. But we are truly using the suggestion as long as we are inspired by the suggestion. Before I get into using the suggestion, I want to get into getting the suggestion from the audience. It's that time when we actually break the fourth wall down and directly address the people in the audience watching the show. And this is your time to kind of actually build up a relationship with them. The relationship with the audience is super essential and crucial to making your improv show successful. So when you go out there, we want to be specific with them. Just like we're being specific on stage with our scene partners, let's be specific with the audience. So don't go out there and just say, hey, give me a word, because that's very broad. Like a word, you'll oftentimes get crickets. And we also want to get out of the headspace of constantly going to the same prompt. And I do this a lot, so don't worry, I do it. So like a very traditional prompt that I do all the time is, can I get a non-geographical location you might find in any city? Well, I'm gonna get Starbucks, I'm gonna get library, because I left it less personal to them. And I think it's helpful to get personal suggestions from audience members, almost like opinionated suggestions. So maybe ask them, hey, what is something that you're super passionate about? Or what is something that you really love, but maybe other people think that's weird, kind of like a guilty pleasure of sorts. Getting suggestions that are personal to audience members can help them be personal to you. And hey, you could practice this in a circle game. Practice getting suggestions from your group. One person starts and just does a prompt, get some stuff from the audience, and have the people in a circle actually throw stuff back at them. So someone starts and says, hey, what's something that might be found under your bed? And then everybody throws suggestions at them, and then it goes to the next person. They do a different prompt. And go around a few times, and maybe afterwards talk about it a little bit. Like talk about hey, what were the prompts that elicited really interesting ideas or suggestions? Now let's jump into the topic of using the suggestion. And again, episode 37 has other ideas that I talk about. This is revisited. And I want to talk about using the suggestion and making it personal to you, okay? Making the suggestion personal to you. Because if you make a suggestion, an idea personal to you, then you will have an easier time committing to the choices you make. Because again, it's personal to you. Even if you played as a character, it's still personal to you as an improviser. So when you get a suggestion, a great way to start getting the inspiration flowing in your head is to play the game of 6 things. This is a classic improv warm-up game where you and your group would get in a circle and one person would say to another person a suggestion, essentially, an idea, a concept. And the other person would riff off that and name 6 things involved and connected to that suggestion. So if somebody said the word Starbucks, hey, let's go with a classic improv suggestion. Someone said Starbucks to me, I would name 6 things involved Starbucks. Now, this doesn't have to be, broadly speaking, how everybody associates off of Starbucks. I want it to be personal to you. You might add sound effects. You might add connecting words that are coming from your own head rather than just like the broad sense, like, oh, coffee, latte, grande. Those are typical associations off of Starbucks. What about you? What do you associate off of Starbucks, Maybe you might associate and say, corporation, or bland, or maybe high calories or stuff like that, right? Those suggestions are more personal to you, which means you are now directly connecting to the word. You're actively listening to the word and actively being inspired by the word. Let's play 3 rounds of 6 things, okay? I'm going to give you a word and you're going to name 6 things associated with that word. Don't worry about it has to be one word or it has to be a noun. It doesn't matter. You name what you feel in your heart, okay? Even if it's gibberish, as long as it's honest, an honest reaction to the word, then you are correct. All right, let's start with a very common improv suggestion we get a lot. Pineapple, go. Great, let's do another one. Puppet, go. Awesome, and one more for you. Fire, go. Awesome, how was that? The point of this game is to help us analyze a suggestion very quickly in our head, just quickly brainstorm and find different connections to that word, rather than always having to feel like you have to go out and do a scene about a pineapple. Or like in the first line of dialogue, we actively say the word, you know? Like, that's overkill in my opinion, and I feel like it's, again, I've said this before, it binds us to the suggestion and we don't have freedom. We want freedom with the suggestion. We want to directly and personally interact with the suggestion and feel connected to it so that we can find a connection in the scene. And that concludes this episode of MUT Tips, everybody. Thank you so much for checking it out. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for another episode of MUT Tips. Bye!